Even now and then, a brand new game hits my table, for which I've heard nothing about, and I'm really caught by surprise when I go through the rulebook, read the rules, get it on the table and have a couple of sessions to try how it works in practice. One of these cases is La Cour des Miracles, which is this brand new cover, which actually when you buy it and remove the wrap, then this is the real cover that you have, which is in my opinion much nicer than the original one. And it's a pleasant surprise even when you take the box and put it on the table. So besides the aesthetics, what is the key point of this game, and maybe I'm giving my opinion right ahead, is the simplicity. This is a very simple game. It has a couple of pages rules, very simple elements, uses worker placement and secret unit allocation to different spots. You're trying to get control of different neighborhoods to get your influence on the game board. It's a very simple principle, but it works very nice, and it has some quite unique and innovative both components and mechanics. It feels fresh. This is what's important. So join me on the table. I'll show you how La Cour des Miracles, the Court of Miracles, works in practice. So let's see how La Cour des Miracles works. First of all, we start with a setup. It's very simple. You put the main board in the middle of the table. You take all the plot cards which have this backing. It's only one single deck. Shuffle them thoroughly and deal one to each player. So I have set up all the players on the side for convenience. I'm just gonna give them all one card. So everyone has one card in their hand, and the rest form a pile that goes here in this slot. Then the next thing that we do is every player takes one of the guilds. Players are assuming the roles of guilds of thieves and beggars in this historic age for Paris. Each player is representing one of the guilds, which have their own crest, their own symbol and their own color. So we have a player game setup for 5 players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of the players is going to get one of the cards, the card with the symbol of the player. Let me show you up close. For example, this is one of the cards. It has a slot for 6 renown tokens, which are ownership tokens actually, and have this square like a castle wooden shaped token, which they all go over there. So you put this next to you, in front of you or whatever. You also take the single plot card that you got from the beginning, from shuffling, and also you start with 4 markers. Now this game is unique because it has this very nice wooden components which have a slot on the bottom for a token, and they depict something on the back. They are printed nicely on the back of this specific wooden component. It's very nice. But the tricky thing is that they can carry one of the tokens in there, so you can only see from the side a wooden disc and you don't know what's on the bottom. So you separate those tokens and put them on the side. They're going to end up in the bag. Each player gets 4 tokens, rogue tokens they're called. You take specifically those starting wooden tokens, the same for each player, and you have to separate them from the beginning. So each player starts with 1 beggar, which is the one with number 0 and the hand, like that. 2 with a value of 1, which are the henchmen, 1 and 1, 2. And 1 which is the right hand, which has a value of 2. It's more strong, but this one you need to gain it, so it doesn't start in your possession. All the players are going to position those on the side of the game board, and they're not for them to use right ahead. They need to claim it and have it during the game session. So essentially you start with 3, 1 beggar and 2 henchmen. From this side you insert your token, your crest, and these are your own. Each player starts with those 3. I have already done it for the rest of the players. Then each player, all the players actually, take all the remaining of those tokens, which are empty and potentially can upgrade their own, let's say, workers. You take them, you shuffle them, and you put them in the bag. And you can draw from there when you take specific, let's say, upgrade actions in the game. So you can make those starting tokens even better and also have abilities. The next thing that you do is you give, let's say, the red player here is the first player, so they're going to take 1 coin. These are the coins of the game, denomination of 1, all of them. This player is going to take 1 coin, the player next to him is going to take 2 coins, and all the rest are going to take 3 coins. So I'm doing this quickly for everybody. And they have the starting money. Coins are important in the game, and you'll see down the road why. Finally, we place the penniless king, which is this token with the same icon like in the back of the card. It has a specific token. They start here next to the Louvre Museum, which is this slot here, and you will see that this token is going to start and have actually a track to follow and go all the way down. No, he starts here. This is the Louvre Museum, I think. Is it this one? No, he's going to end here, I think. Yeah, they start here at the Louvre. And they're going to go all the way, moving like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, and here. So, next thing that we do, as we have sorted the money, the king on the track, and everything, we are ready to start. So, what's the object in this game? This game is very simple. It has very few rules, and that's the beauty of it, but it has also some quick and interesting innovative ideas. Let's go through them. The object of the game for La Cour des Miracles is to lead the guild of beggars with your own crest, as you can see, and your own logo, your own legacy, and take over the old 16th century Paris and dominate Paris. These are different guilds. I'm going to go through the details of the guilds because it's interesting actually. The green one are the malingres, if I pronounce them correctly, which faked a variety of ailments to evoke sympathy. This is their trickery. Then we have the Marfaux, if I'm pronouncing them correctly, the red one. Young scoundrels who lived off the charms of damsels around them, simply put, pimps. Then we have the white ones, the Millards. The Millards picked pockets for supplies. They were the providers to the court. Oh, this one. Then we have the Narquois, which are those, the orange ones. They pose as soldiers, faking injuries, receiving sympathy from fooling people around because they claim to have given service to the king and their injured soldiers. And the last ones, the Orphelins, the blue ones, are young boys who went around half naked, pretending to shiver with cold even in the summer to stir up the generosity of passengers by and give them money. Very nice fluff. So, the object of the game is obviously to be the guild that dominates the 16th century Paris. So the turn structure is very simple. Let's go through the turn structure so it's crystal clear what we're doing. Players start their turns and going clockwise. The turn for each player proceeds with the following steps in this specific order. The only exception is you can play a plot card. You play a plot card and from your hand, that is, and this is optional. You can do this anytime during your turn. The player can choose to play a plot card at any time during their turn, except during a standoff, we'll see what a standoff is, over the neighborhood. Playing a plot can apply the effects during your turn, and then you discard the card. There are different cards with nice illustrations that actually do trickery, give you some upper hand to steal money, steal coins, and stuff like that. We'll see how they work down the road. So, as we said, during our turn, except from standoff, we can play one plot card whenever we want, and that's it. Optional. Then the main structure has this flow. We start by placing a rogue token. Remember, we have 3 rogue tokens. We start with a beggar and 2 henchmen, 0, 1, and 1. This is the red player. So we start by placing one rogue token, and this is mandatory. We have to place one of those. Then we benefit from the effect of the spot where this was placed. We take some bonus. Then we can perform the action of the neighborhood where this spot is located, and this is optional. We can do this only if we want to, if we're interested in doing that.
For example, this one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Iconography is very clear after you have go through the rules and understand everything. And then we can settle standoffs if we have standoffs in specific neighborhoods. So let's see how all those steps break down. It's very simple. First of all, we place one of our henchmen. We keep those one of our rogue tokens. We always keep those like that. You don't reveal what you have, because if you reveal what you have in your hand by playing around, I usually do that, then they'll know that you didn't put this for sure in the spot. And they need to remain hidden until you have a standoff. So you take one of your remaining rogue tokens and you place it face down on an available circular spot on a neighborhood. If all player tokens all the rogue tokens are in play, because you have already placed them, you just simply take it from one spot and you put it to another one. So during my first turn, I can, for example, go here, place my rogue token here, and I'll do the following steps. Everyone plays turns. When it comes to me, I can do the same or the same. But if at some point I have all my rogue tokens on the board, let's say, for example, we are something like that. I'm just covering now all the spots. I'm going to remove them to show you what the actual spots do. But keep in mind that when we have a full 3 out of 3, something specific happens, but I just want to show you how it may look down the road. Anyway, when I have all of my rogue tokens in place, what I can do is I can take it from here and put it somewhere else, for example, and do the same. So let's move all to the side for the moment. And let me explain what is the second thing in your turn, because first you place a rogue token and then you benefit from the location, from the spot that you covered. This spot is very simple. When it has a coin, when I cover this, I just simply gain 1 coin from the bank. You can do this here and gain 2 coins, same, or here 1 coin, 1 coin, 1 coin. Very simple. Another possible option is, for example, to put one of my rogue tokens here, which is 1 plot card. Very simple. When I do that, the benefit is for me to take from the deck of cards, of plot cards, 1 plot card and keep it in my hand, so I have more options and I can mess around more with my opponents down the road. Cool. Another option is these signs you can find with 1 or 2 times. This is simple because when this happens, when you cover one of those, you move 1 or 2 spots the penniless king forward along his path. So it would be 1, 2, for example, something like that. 1, if you cover something like that, it's going to be moving 1. Keep in mind, when I'm placing rogue tokens, I don't have to necessarily go on the first one being next to the X, I can directly go here. But being next to the X has a benefit, because if everyone is tied for this, and we're going to see later on how, the tie is breaking towards the one sitting closer to the X marker. Now, place a rogue token, benefit from the effect of the spot, and then we perform an action of the neighborhood optionally. So if I, for example, come here, you can see that this neighborhood has 1, 2, 3 spots. All the neighborhoods have 3 spots. We have the green neighborhood, the blue neighborhood, the red, the yellow, and this is the purple. 5 neighborhoods. So I come to the green neighborhood, for example here, I take 1 plot card, fine, and then I can optionally perform the action of the neighborhood. This action gives me the ability to take 2 more coins. It's printed here. The actions for the neighborhood are printed in a box, so this is one of the actions. Here I can take 1 plot card. Here I can move one of my rogue tokens, and here I can get 1 more rogue token. We're going to cover them in detail. But coming back to the turn structure, place a rogue token, benefit from the spot, optionally do the action of the neighborhood, and then settle any standoffs. So what is a standoff? If all spots in a neighborhood are occupied, for example, if I was going to play my rogue token here, so I benefit from the location, I perform optionally the action of the neighborhood, and then I have to settle the standoff because all 3 spots are filled. It's a full neighborhood. So what happens here? A standoff can take place at the end of the turn in two scenarios: when all of the neighborhood are covered, or when the penniless king reaches one of these markers. When he reaches one of these rough space, either the red one or down the road the white one, we have a standoff. In both cases, resolution of the standoff is exactly the same. The players start by revealing the rogue tokens. So 1, 1, 1, fair enough, we just started. So it could be that one player had here, for example, I don't know, 0, yeah? Okay, so what happens here is you try to see who has a higher number. This player has lost, has 0, this have 1, and this have 1. And here's why important to sit next to the X, because the blue and the green, they both have 1, the red one has 0. So who is going to win? The player who's sitting closer to the X. So this player wins the neighborhood, yeah? So, and breaks the tie, if there is any tie. It could be that he had also 0. Well, where is it? Here, for example. So in this case, it will be a clear win. But even if we have a tie, the player who has sitting closer to the X wins. If someone had a 2, we're going to see how you get a 2, the right hand, it's starting outside of the main board, then this player is going to win. Okay, fair enough. Now, what happened is the blue player won the neighborhood. So what he's going to do is he places one of his renown tokens in the neighborhood to indicate that he has won the neighborhood. So the blue player is going to come here, pick up one of these tokens and place it in this specific spot here. So if another player previously owned this neighborhood with the same way, he's going to simply replace his marker and give this back to him to put it on his guild card. So this is very clear. You just get, when you win the possession, the majority in the neighborhood, you simply put one of your renown tokens here from your card. So what is the option and what is the important thing from owning those neighborhoods? First of all, as I told you, one of the ways to win is to get rid of all of the renown tokens, markers from your card on the board, either in different neighborhoods where you can own them, or by putting them in these spots here. Let me remove those to the side. In these spots here, and I'm going to see how these are used, one for each line. When you do that, if for example I was something like that, I would immediately win the game. One of the ways to win the game. Otherwise, when we have a tie, because no one has managed to do that and the penniless king has reached the end of the track, then we see how it happens, because we're going to explain it at the end of the game. Essentially, it is a tiebreaker. I'm going to see how this works. So again, I win the standoff. By revealing my values, I have the win, the clear win, or the tied win, sitting next to the X. Then if no one has a symbol here, I just put my own. If someone has ownership, I kick him off and I put my own. Very, very simple. So the interesting thing here is that the ownership will also grant you one coin when you use this ability. So in a future turn, yeah, this can go, has this, for example, will be away on different places, etc. Down a couple of turns. If someone comes to use this one for any reason, even my own, if it is my own and I come and use the same neighborhood, doesn't matter. Each time a rogue token is placed here, the owner of the neighborhood, that you can see, is gaining one coin. And it is very important because you will have coins from the reserve that way, enriching your pool of coins. Very, very simple. The other way is the worth of the penniless king. We said that when this token, by moving down the road, reaches, for example, either a red or a white spot, we have again a standoff. Now, if it is a white, like this one, we're going to have a standoff in the neighborhood of the choice of the player who moved the penniless king. So it doesn't need to be full. For example, I was playing, I moved it here. I know that I have a big number here, and I know maybe I have a 2 or something like that, or I'm sitting closer to the X. It's not full, it doesn't matter. We have a standoff. I'm going to indicate that we have a standoff here because it's to my benefit. If we move the penniless king by moving, end up in one of the red spots, then we settle the standoff in the neighborhood indicated by the hand of the wrath symbol. You see, maybe you cannot see, but this hand is pointing here in the red. This hand is pointing here in the blue. This one is pointing, the 2 fingers sitting like that, to the green, and so on and so forth. It's very simple. So in each of those cases, we're going to have a standoff. Again, very, very simple. So let's see quickly the abilities of the neighborhood in a glance, so that you understand what is the benefit you can have by placing rogue tokens on the various neighborhoods. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see a bit better maybe. Up to here, I suppose we see all of the boxes, the yellow boxes. So the tavern is the one sitting here. It shows this icon. So you recruit one new rogue, you draw one rogue token from the bag. Remember, we have some here, and some of them are very, very good because they either have higher numbers, like this one, it has a 2, or they have special abilities. This has 1 and pull 1 plot card, etc. We're going to explain them down the road. Very useful, you get more. As you can see, you only have a specific number of tokens, so if you want to keep the new one that you just drawn, then you need to throw one of your useless, maybe this one, the 0 one, and replace the token in this slot with a new one. It's up to you. Or you can keep it if it's not to your plans. The next one are the holes, les holes, if I'm pronouncing correctly, which is the one sitting here next to the red, this one. So you pay the toll to place a renown token on a line of your choice at the renown square and receive the corresponding bonus. Very simple, you see. You just pay the money indicated here. For this row you need to pay 4, for this row you need to pay 5, 6, 7 and 8 coins. It's more expensive as you go down the road. Let me show you a bit so you can see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 2 benefits. First of all, you get rid of, again, these renown tokens. There's no way these are going to be kicked. You cannot have 2 in the same row. You need to have 1 per row. One of the ways is you need to get rid of your renown tokens and place them on the board, and no one can kick you off from here. If another player comes, they're going to just simply put it next to you and getting the same benefit. So is to pay money and position it here, and you benefit from the different bonuses here. Very simple. Here you pay 4 and you draw 1 plot card. You pay 5 and you move the penniless king forward 2 along his path. You pay 6 and you gain your right hand 2 value strength rogue token, which is this one we have put on the side. And this is also good because you have a 4th token in your possession. You don't have only 3, and it's a +2. It's very interesting. Then the next one is you pay 7 and you draw 2 plot cards. And the last one is you pay 8 and you move 3 spaces the penniless king along his path. When the penniless king is reaching a red or a white spot, they stop immediately and we perform the standoff depending on the color, as we have explained. So the next one that we need to explain is Le Châtelet, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's I believe it's this one with the plot card. Very simple. When you do that, you just throw 1 plot card. Then we have the Grand Cour de Miracle, which is a green one and should be here. We draw 2 coins. Very simple. The iconography is very simple. You just hear it once and that's it. And the last one is La Rue de la Égyptienne, the Egyptian Street. You move, which is the purple one here, which you move 1 of your rogue token to any free spot on the board, and this move does not trigger the effect of the spot it lands on. So it's you can take it from here and maybe put it here. So you will not gain 1 coin, but maybe if you already have 2, you're doing this because you're going to create the reason for a standoff, or you want to gain the ability of the neighborhood that you can perform when you place a rogue token. Very, very simple. These are the 5 neighborhoods and what they do. we explain the cord and the bonuses. Okay, one last thing I forgot to mention is that the rogue tokens have abilities. For example, okay, the henchmen just have a strength of 1 and you can add value 1 to your total, fair enough. Then you've seen the beggar somewhere, which has a value of 0. We start with a beggar, there it is, and it shows a coin. The beggar has the ability that the winner of the standoff has to give you 1 coin. It's very, you put 0 strength and you're most probably going to lose the standoff, but you gain 1 coin from the winner of the standoff. Then you can have your right hand, which has a value of 2, and also the same, just the value of 2 is the brute, which again shows just number 2 on it. Then you have the pickpocket, which shows number 1 and 2 coins. If you win the standoff, you take 2 coins from the reserve. You have the defrocked priest, which has a value of 1 and shows 1 plot card. So if you win the standoff, you draw 1 plot card, very simple, and a value of 1 towards your strength. You have the soothsayer, who has a value of 0, shows a plot card and a coin. Simply, you do not win the standoff, but you take 1 coin from the reserve and draw 1 plot card. It doesn't matter with a 0, even if you tie with other players with 0, you can never win with this card, but you gain 1 coin and 1 plot card. Then we have the swordman. The swordman has a strength of 0 or 3 if you choose to pay 2 coins to make it a 3. So depending on the amount of value of the strength of the other, you need to just chip in some coins and you make it a 3, and then you definitely win the standoff with a 3. And then you have the courtsman with a value of 1. And if you win with the standoff, you can place your renown token in any neighborhood in Paris if this neighborhood is already controlled by another player and you take control of it. And these are the different rogue tokens that are in the bag and give you special abilities if you choose to play and enrich your initial workers, rogue tokens essentially. And the cards, I'm not going to go through all the cards, but you can have cards that each player with 5 or more coins must give you 1 coin. You trigger a standoff in a neighborhood with at least 2 rogue tokens belonging to different players. You take a card of your choice from the discard pile, and so on and so forth. Lots of abilities and lots of things to mess up with your opponents. And how the game ends. The game ends in 2 ways. The first scenario, player manages to place their 6th renown token, as we have seen with the blue player, on the board, then that player immediately wins the game. The scenario number 2, the penniless king reaches the end of the track, and then the player with the most renown tokens placed on the board wins the game. If there is a tie on the numbers, so for example both the green and the blue have 5 instead of 6, that triggers the end of the game, then the player who controls the most neighborhoods in Paris wins the games. Otherwise, the all tied parties share the victory. So there you have it. This is how La Cour des Miracles plays. Very simple rules and very interesting flow.
Wow, so this is a pretty clever game. It has very simple rules. I was reading through the rulebook and I was surprised by the simplicity of everything, how everything clicks together, makes sense, especially if I've played one more similar games in mechanisms, that is, you really understand what you're doing, but you don't have to have previous experience in order to enjoy this game. You can start fresh. It is very simple, 4 pages, which is with a big font and a lot of illustrations, so there are not that many rules. Very simple player turn, very simple things to do on your turn. You simply allocate your workers and try to engage into standoffs to get your renown tokens on the board and thus win the game. Very nice aesthetics, it looks great on the board, but it also gives a feeling of freshness because it uses a couple of key features with a very innovative way, like the guild tokens, the wooden guild tokens that you put your owner markers in there and they have a different strength from the back, and you can invent and invest into getting more strength for those workers and have a more meaningful and fruitful turn, in a sense. In any case, what I'm trying to say, you don't have to think of a very complex system and very complex games to give enjoyment to the players and give a good gaming experience. And I think this is a good example of this case. With a few key rules, you can really have a good time and have a blast. We really enjoyed it. It plays up to 5 players. This is a plus in my opinion for this type of games. You can explain to almost anyone. The text is minimal in the plot cards, so you don't need to have extreme good knowledge in English if you're getting the English version like me. There's also the French, I believe. In any case, 2 thumbs up to Lumberjack Studio for this game. It is very, very well done, both from production wise and from execution. Good game. I really enjoyed it.